Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I have a book review for you, and this is going to be on House on Fire. This is written by Bonnie Kistler. This book was kindly sent my way by Atria Books in order to do a review for you guys, so thank you so much, Atria. I really am appreciative of that. And this book is available now. It just came out earlier this week on March 12th, so it is available now. I will have an Amazon link to the book down below for you. So this book is an adult contemporary, and this follows a very blended family. So this family consists of Lee and Peter, who are married. They have both been divorced and have children with other people, and then they ended up blending their family, and it's a very interesting dynamic. So Peter is divorced from his wife, and he has two children with her, an older son named Kip, who is in high school. He's a senior in high school, and then a younger daughter named Mia, who's about 10 years old. And then Lee is divorced from her husband, and together they have three children, teenage boys who are in college, and then a 14-year-old girl named Chrissie. And they're sharing custody. It's a whole thing, visitation and all that stuff, but they make it work, and they kind of pride themselves on the fact that everyone's happy and they can make it work. One weekend, Lee and Peter decide that they are going to go on this little weekend trip for their anniversary, and they are going to leave Kip and Chrissie home, who primarily live with them in their house. And this is the 18 and 14-year-old. And so they go on this trip, leave the kids at home for the first time, and they are on their way back home when they get a phone call from Chrissie that something terrible has happened, and they have to go to the police station. They have to leave and they have to go to the police station. So they find out that there was an accident involving the two children in a car, and they're trying to work all these things out because there's some alcohol involved and, all sorts of things. So now what is happening is they are trying to deal with that. And the next day, Chrissie passes away. That's not a spoiler. That's in the synopsis. So I'm not spoiling it for you, I promise. And it happens in the very beginning. So now they are faced with what actually happened, number one, because Kip's story is changing. Kip is the 18-year-old boy. His story is changing a little bit from what they initially said happened. So they're trying to figure out exactly what happened. He is also being charged with manslaughter because Chrissie died, they're saying, as a result of this accident, but there's also something underlying maybe happening, and they're not really sure what could have caused, what happened to her. And so it's very, very tricky. He has a lawyer who is also Lee's best friend, and she is very smart. It really seemed like she knew exactly what she was talking about, and she knew what to do and the right thing to do and all that. Lee herself is actually a trial lawyer as well. And that was very interesting. I really did enjoy that part of it because all of the legal stuff in here made a lot of sense, which makes a lot of sense because Bonnie Kistler is actually a trial lawyer as well. So she really made that something very prevalent and very realistic in here. Now, amid all these things happening, Lee and Peter are having some issues because Kip, who is basically publicly being held responsible for Chrissie's death, is Peter's son, and Chrissie was Lee's daughter. So it's causing a big rift in their marriage, which, that's not really surprising. That would be hard on anybody. And so they're having some issues as well. Now, Lee is also having some problems with some of her clients because she is a trial lawyer. She has, clients that she's responsible for all along while she's trying to deal with the death of her daughter. It was crazy. I don't know how anybody could do anything like that. But that's a whole nother thing too. So I'll leave it at that, because I don't want to give any spoilers away or anything like that. But that's the basic premise of the story. So now let me tell you what my thoughts were. I had a hard time reading this one, and it took me a little bit to even give it a rating because while I was reading it, I kind of had some thoughts, and then, I don't know, I was back and forth between a 3 and a 4. And I even thought about maybe a 3.5, but ultimately I gave it a 4. And the reason is, overall, I really, really enjoyed this book. I thought it was written really well. There's just one thing that bothered me. And it threw the whole thing off for me for a bit. But I still gave it a 4 because I thought the writing was really good. I thought what happened was really good. There's just one thing that really kind of, I don't know, like it still bugs me about it. So I'll talk about it at the end, but let me tell you what I liked first. First is that I really liked the conflicts that happened in here because these people were really put in an impossible situation. They're dealing with the death of a family, but you know, it could have been caused by another family member. How do you do that? How do you deal with that? How do you forgive the person who could be responsible for it? How do you, do you defend them? Do you persecute them? Like what do you do? Like these are people that you love and they're people that are part of your family. So I really liked the conflict there and like the feeling of, I don't know what I would do. I really don't know what I would do. I really liked the action in here because there are definitely some scenes where it was, pretty heart pounding and like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. What's happening? So I liked those parts too. Now, here's the problem I had with this book. The problem I had with this book was that you're reading about Lee and her family and what's going on with her family and all of that stuff. And that's what this book is supposed to be about, right? It's her family and dealing with this stuff and how do you deal with that? There's also another part of this book where Lee is dealing with some of her clients. And there's a whole thing that happens with her clients. It's a whole thing. And it almost felt like 2 separate books. So that's what bothered me about it, is that it was almost like 2 different lives for Lee. She had her family stuff happening and then she had stuff with her clients happening. And they kind of tied together a little bit, but not quite enough for me to make it seem like, there's 2 different stories. Oh, and it's all going to come full circle. It didn't quite come full circle for me. It was a little bit tied, but it was never even really resolved in the end, I guess you could say. It's like an incomplete circle for me. And I don't know, that part just bothered me to where I'm reading one thing and then I'm reading another thing and I almost forgot about the other part of it. I forgot for a little bit that we're supposed to be focusing on Lee and the death of her daughter and all that because we were focusing on our clients and what was happening there. And it was almost like a movie, just crazy things happening. So I don't know, that part of it bothered me though, to the point where I knocked off a star because it didn't quite make enough sense for me, I guess you could say. But I still really enjoyed both of them separately. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is for that. Maybe if they had come together a little bit more conclusively, I guess you could say, or there was like an actual conclusion to how they were tied together, maybe it would have been a lot better for me, possibly. So I don't know. That just... It got me enough to where I was just like, wait a second, what? And yeah, so, but I still really enjoyed both things. So it's very confusing for me. That's why it was so hard for me to rate this book because I really enjoyed it overall, but I had that issue with it where, it seemed like 2 different things in one book. And I almost feel like it's 2 different stories that could have been told. Maybe like a sequel or something could have happened or a follow-up or a companion novel or something to where, Lee dealing with her clients is a whole nother thing. But yeah, so that was interesting. And it made me question my enjoyment of the book as a whole, as being published as this one thing. So, but in the end, I ended up giving it 4 stars, like I said, and I did really enjoy it. This is actually one of my most anticipated books of the year as well. So I'm very lucky that I was able to get an early copy of it. So I am very, very appreciative of that. And I do recommend it. I do. So don't think I'm not recommending this to anybody, but just I feel that other people reading this are maybe going to pick up on the same thing as me, where you're kind of, not really sure how these things are going to tie together, and they kind of do, but I wanted it a little bit more tied together, type thing. So, okay. that's all I'm going to say. I hope you guys are going to pick this up. I hope that you give it a try and give it a read. I think Bonnie Kistler is definitely someone to look out for. And I do think it was written really well. The writing was really good. It was engaging. I was completely invested. I spent one whole day pretty much reading this book. And overall, I did really enjoy it. So yeah, 4 stars. Okay, if you guys are interested in this, please click on the Amazon link down below and get yourselves a copy because it is available now. And I hope you guys do check it out. And if you do, let me know what you guys think. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Hope you have a great day. Bye.